the channels, all see is gray. Drowning in the monotone, no escape today. But I need a haircut, break the static's hold. Losing up this time, it bites, the score is told. Say goodbye to boredom, headlines made of gold. Twist and shake perspectives in a way so bold. They serve it up with humor with a snarky twist. Little bites and news to fill your daily list.
Hello, everyone. We have got a newsy news nugget that's actually related to a story that we've been covering. Scott Peterson now has this new docuseries coming out on Netflix. Amber Frey is going to be in it, but he is also in awaiting, I guess, DNA tests on some remnants of duct tape and things to see if he can be exonerated. I will go ahead and tell you guys, I think he's a douche canoe human, and I don't know that I believe that anyone else had the motives, means or opportunity to do this, but I am willing to be found wrong. Heck, if the DNA comes back as, the one-armed man from The Fugitive, I am willing to publicly say Mo got this wrong. It's not that deep for me, but I do feel like this whole Innocence Project thing and the docuseries is maybe not going to get him the sort of innocent reputation management that he wants. I don't think that people that maybe have not been initiated into this case, when they get the Netflix docuseries, I don't think he's going to come off looking any better than he did, right when this happened, regardless of the 20 intervening years. I just don't see this being a great win reputationally, or even, to change the public opinion of Scott Peterson. But Amber Frey, the woman who allegedly unwittingly knew or went out with Scott Peterson when he was married, was duped by her, has spoken on this docuseries. To this day, Scott Peterson maintains his innocence regarding the murder of his wife Lacey and their unborn child Connor, and he'll likely continue to do so in Peacock's upcoming Face-to-Face with Scott Peterson, in which he gives his first on-air comments in over 20 years. Nonetheless, it's hard to imagine him providing any notable revelations after viewing American Murder, Lacey Peterson, Netflix's 3-part docuseries about the case that captivated the nation in the early 2000s, which arrives this Thursday, August 14th, ahead of the Peacock documentary. Featuring interviews with every key player in this sordid affair, save for Scott Peterson himself, American Murder is a straightforward overview that affords both sides opportunities to make their respective arguments about Scott's either innocence or guilt. So I think that is, good that they're trying to be, give both sides the, chance to make their argument. Let's see here. Although it's difficult to imagine viewers coming away with it from doubts about his culpability. Yipes. Well, that doesn't seem like it's going to be good for Team Peterson. Helmed by one of Netflix's favorite nonfiction directors, Skye Borgman, Girl in the Picture, I Just Unalived My Dad, The Truth About Jim, American Murder, Lacey Peterson presents no stunning new information about Lacey Peterson, who went missing on December 24th, 2002, from her home in Modesto, California, while 8 months pregnant. Her disappearance was first reported by her husband, Scott, who claimed that upon returning from a Christmas Eve day of fishing, he found no one at home and their dog in the backyard running around dragging its leash, a sign that the pooch had shown up alone after supposedly going on a walk in the park with Lacey. Lacey's mother, Sharon Rocha, and her close friends Lori Heinz, Stacey Boyers, Renee Tomlinson, and Heather Adams, and Scott's sister, Susan Cadillo, and sister-in-law, Janie Peterson, all recount these initial awful moments when concern turned into horrific panic, with flyers quickly being made, a command center swiftly established, and search parties organized to scour the area for any signs of Lacey. Throughout this early going, Scott remained calm, unemotional, and largely off camera, shunning the press even as everyone else turned to reporters to get the words out. More than once, Scott's behavior was described as quote unquote odd in American Murder, and that impression was amplified by his weird story about the nights and days in question. Scott told his neighbor he wasn't fishing but golfing on Christmas Eve day. Sharon and the rest of the family didn't know anything about his boat, which he'd purchased a couple of weeks earlier on December 9th. His reason for not mentioning the craft to anyone? He wanted to surprise his father in law, Ron. Didn't make any sense, nor did the fact that he had driven 90 miles away to Berkeley Marina to give the boat its first test run. Now, none of this was proof that he was involved in Lacey's disappearance at the time, but it did raise red flags and sort of got the old noggin a joggin' that maybe there was something shifty-ish about this gentleman. 2 decades later, Lacey's mother understandably still chokes up while discussing these events, and her commentary, along with that of friends, as well as detectives Bronchini and Josh Bueller, lends American Murder Lacey Peterson a firsthand intimacy that justifies its existence. Borgman marries her talking head interviews with the usual mixture of home movies, archival reports, photographs, and audio recordings. Yet her trump card is a sit down with Amber Frey, who soon took center stage in this drama. Hearing about Lacey's tale on the news, Amber called police and informed them that she had been in a relationship with Scott for the last few months, and that Scott told her first he was single, then on December 9th, the same day he bought the boat, that he was married but his spouse had passed away. As far as bombshells go, this is a biggie, and in American Murder, Lacey Peterson, Amber clearly and convincingly lays out a timeline of her affair with Scott, in the process elucidating that she was a victim of his deceptions as well. She also, I will say this for Amber Frey, I can imagine the absolute betrayal, shock, and horror to realize that not only is the man you're dating married, but the man you're dating has a missing pregnant wife. I can only imagine, how world shattering that is. But instead of, anything else she could do, she went to the police and she recorded the phone calls, and she tried to help bring justice for this other mother who was lost. And I find that to be very heroic, especially, she came forward, and I'm sure she knew what people were going to think. This home-wrecking woman, of course she knew he was married. How do you not know he's married? I mean, all these things that I am sure crossed her head and would have made it difficult for her to step up and try to help, but she did. So I will say that I have a tremendous respect for her. And in my personal opinion, which everyone has one, I don't think she knew he was married. I think she knew that there was something up, but I don't think she knew he was married. And Scott Peterson seems to have this very superficial, very um, with the ability to seem, you know, both sincere and, emotional and all of these things. He was able to sell, this I lost my wife. This is going to be the first holiday. I'm really upset. So he was able to give a genuineness to his feelings that while she maybe thought, there's something a little odd, but he was able to act fairly well. Secretly recorded phone calls between Amber and Scott suggest that he envisioned a future with her, thereby giving him a motive for wanting to escape his wife, who was pregnant with a child Sharon says that Scott had not originally wanted. When Lacey's body was found in the water near Brooks Island, the very spot near which Scott had told Al he'd been fishing on December 24th, the prosecution decided it had enough evidence to move forward with trial. The ensuing legal proceedings were catnip to the media. I remember this was huge. I was failing out of basic at the time, and I remember quite clearly being in physical therapy and We didn't really get a lot of news or outside information. And one of the really kind physical therapists who was working there said, "Oh, that Scott Peterson looks all the guilty," or something to that effect. But I do remember this being huge. I mean, you could not turn on Dateline CNN once I got out of the military. You couldn't turn it on without this being a big thing. Not as big as OJ, in my opinion, but still pretty big. This was front page news. Now, it ultimately concluded with convictions and a death penalty sentence, an outcome that jurors Greg Bartelis and Mike Belsameri state was not preordained. In American Murder, Lacey Peterson, Scott's sister and sister in law, maintained that he was wronged by the criminal justice system. However, they offer no exonerating evidence or competing version of events to make one think that Scott did not unalive his wife and child. As a criminal investigative profiler, Sharon Hagan contends even without a smoking gun, Scott's pattern of behavior in the weeks and months after Lacey vanished, including avoiding the media and using his unborn child's nursery as a storage room, spoke to a heartless disconnection that no grieving husband or father would feel in this situation. Meanwhile, there's reason to think he made multiple anchors, most of which were never found. He researched bay tides on December 8th and obtained his fishing license and lures on December 20th. And most damning of all, he said he was at home in Modesto, or he said Lacey was at home in Modesto walking their dogs, when in reality she was being dumped in the exact waters where Scott admitted he was on or in on the day in question. Couple all of that with the fact that Scott was arrested 30 miles from the Mexican border with a car full of supplies and nearly $15,000 in cash. Yeah, he kind of looked all the guilties. I mean, he grew a little goatee and he frosted his hair, which it was an interesting look. I mean, he still looked like a an absolute sleazeball, but he was just blonde. I mean, he, his face was plastered on every daggone magazine. You think this man is gonna, I mean, at least have gone ginger, sir. Make it harder for yourself. The idea that some other mystery assailant did this deed, like a pair of street pharmaceutical addicted burglars who robbed the home across the street from Scott and Lacey's residence, seems far fetched at best and ridiculous at worst. American Murder, Lacey Peterson won't wow anyone who's familiar with this tabloid-ready saga, but it's a reasonably good summary, and I think that I will be watching it just to hear from Amber herself. I like to see how people talk, how people interact. I am no bodyologist or, anything like that. But I think you do get a better impression when you watch it yourself. And like I said, all the things I've said about him being a dumpster fire husband and father, if we find information that shows that he was wrongfully convicted, then absolutely let's get him up out of, prison and he can have his own reality show. I'm just putting that at less than 10% chance of actually happening. I understand if, like I said, I'm willing to be wrong. No shame in my game. If I get things wrong, I will tell you I am willing to be wrong, y'all. But I don't feel like I am on this case. Put your comments in the comments section. Tell me where I'm wrong. Keep it nice and civil, though. And I will see you guys later. Please like, subscribe, do all the YouTubey dooby dooby things. And I will see you tonight for Nightly Newsy News at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Hopefully we can drop that daylight soon because, oh my goodness, I am done with daylight savings time. Any hoozle, I will see you guys in a little bit. I hope you've had a wonderful day and be kind, be nice, and take no crap though. Be kind, be nice, but take no B. Anywho, I will see you guys in just a little bit. Bye.